Okay, so this won't be long. But I'm back faster than I thought I was going to be. I said that if there was any updates, I would do that. And, well, there's an update. About 2 hours ago, a little over, about almost 3 hours ago now, Evasion GG put out a statement on their Twitter. I'm just going to read it real quick here. We have produced over 200 Tarkov shows, but if you've wondered why we haven't been as active as we once were, it's because we will not be railroaded into doing events that we don't believe in. What happened to the Tarkov community over the past week is what's been happening to us for the last 2 years dealing with BSG. Promises not kept, gaslighting, event cancellations, control issues, blatant nepotism, which is something we kind of touched on yesterday. All while wasting our money, time, and efforts, and this year we found out how terribly they have been treating the smaller event orgs as well. Now this treatment has spread to the player base. We've held back sharing this information, but seeing how the community was treated as a whole recently was too much. We will not create Tarkov events until we see things truly change. For those of you guys who don't know, Evasion GG, Evasion is one of the largest tournament organizations for Tarkov that we have. They are very well represented by Sigma, who was a predominantly Tarkov streamer. I don't think she streams Tarkov really that much anymore, but she used to. And she was kind of the face for the organization. She's an amazing streamer. If you haven't had a chance to go check her out, you should definitely go check her out. She's awesome. And basically, I mean, Evasion has an armband in the game. It's actually, I think, part of the collector task. It's a pretty high. I mean, even players who don't get Kappa like having Evasion armbands because it's a name we all recognize. They run tournaments for us, and we've always really enjoyed them. I have noticed that there had not really been any noise coming out of Evasion for a while, and I thought that had to do with the fact that Arena had come out, but Arena was in a really bad state in terms of balance, and there was a lot of changes and things that were happening, and I was kind of thinking Evasion was just kind of waiting for the dust to settle on all of the balancing issues, and that they were going to start doing Arena tournaments and start doing more Tarkov tournaments once everything had gotten kind of balanced and some of the newer patches had come out. Obviously, that's not the case. They literally have just been treated like crap by BSG, and maybe to spare the community negativity because of how bad the negativity had already started to become, Evasion made the decision to not say why they weren't doing tournaments. They just kind of stopped. And I mean, I'm kind of glad to see that, seeing how we've been treated as a community by Nikita, by BSG, for Evasion to be like, okay, clearly enough's enough. They came out and said something. It also just kind of goes to show that what's happened to us, what happened with this last whole DLC fiasco with the PvE servers, what happened with Arena, that, and now obviously what's happening with Evasion, and now is Evasion saying it, that they've treated even smaller organizations even worse. And I can actually speak to that a little bit. It's a touch anecdotal because I did get it through a third party, but I did know of another smaller organizer that was trying to do a tournament and got kind of the runaround and kind of fucked over by BSG as well. I never got the full specifics other than they had put a lot of time and effort, and then BSG just kind of ghosted them. And they were like, on board, yeah, that sounds great, yes, and then just disappeared into the wind, and ton of time and effort have just basically gotten wasted. To hear that they've done this to Evasion is really disheartening, because like I said, Evasion is probably one of the biggest organizations that has really supported Tarkov and tournament play for years now. So this is awful. This is terrible. I don't and it's blowing my mind right now that we have this going on. Over 200 shows. That's, I mean, when you see these tournaments, these are big. They really kind of go all out. They really try to make a spectacle of it. So there's a lot of time and energy and attention put to these tournaments. We do know, there's other people who used to run tournaments. Pestily used to run tournaments fairly regularly. People have asked, when is his tournaments are going to make a comeback? And Pestily's danced around it, and hasn't kept saying, like, I think the last time he was asked about it, he kind of marginally was like, I'm thinking about doing something. I have this idea, but that was like the end of it, and it never came back around. And as a matter of fact, kind of looking at it, outside of a small handful, there really hasn't been much tournament play in Tarkov in a while now, which I found really interesting, with the fact that we do have arena. And I know people are going to be like, oh, there's been a bunch of arena tournaments, which is true. I have seen a number of arena efforts out there. So I mean, the game still needs some more balancing. It's nowhere esports ready. It won't be for a while. This to me is also kind of a signal of what's the BSG has made the unfortunate mistake of, you can afford to have skeletons in your closets. You can afford to do dumb things when you have enough goodwill and enough community willing to support you. They will keep those skeletons neatly tucked away in your closet, never to be bothered from again. The problem is that if you become too comfortable and you believe yourself too big to fail, and that nothing is going to stop you, and you start shitting on the people that are basically protecting your secrets, eventually, once you have whittled the trust down to, once you've whittled that trust down to the true believers who will leave you in the dust and let that closet door swing wide open, stuff like this starts happening. I think a lot of BSG skeletons are going to start marching their way out of the closet. I think a lot of the stuff that BSG has done behind scenes that has been really bad is going to start coming out of the closet. I don't see this as being a good situation for BSG. Their walk back, I mean, literally, Nikita spent pretty much most of this weekend trying to put this fire out, and he spent a really good chunk of today like trying to acquiesce as much as he could to put this fire out. And here we are, like the embers are still smoldering, and and Evasion just walks over and just throws a whole gallon of gas right on top of it and fires it right back up again. Because we've got Arrowing Marine, he's replying to it. This more and more players, creators, Darth Care Bear, actually no, that one. Yeah, it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. Blatant nepotism. So yeah, I mean, this is interesting. Take a look right down here. We have Nikita, not even BSG, not even Tarkov. Nikita himself is trending right now. That's so rarely a good thing. It's so rarely a good thing when you're trending and you haven't done anything good recently, and you're trending. It tends to be a really bad situation for you. So I think things are going to be getting a lot worse, I think, before they get better. I think Nikita and BSG is going to find that this little faux pas of them is going to cost them a hell of a lot more than it would have if they had just done the right thing. That's the thing. I don't get that. Why don't people ever understand that? It's always cheaper to do the right thing up front. It's always cheaper. It's very rarely ever cost effective to do the wrong thing, because that almost always catches up with you. It's like that in everything. It's like that in life. It's like that in, like, if you build a house, even if it costs more money, build it the right way the first time. Because if you're like, well, I want to cut this corner because it's cheaper, and then you're sleeping one night and a wall falls over. That's what happens. You gotta, it's like that old saying, you gotta spend money, you gotta make money. That's how it works, I don't know. I don't know at this point. I don't know. BSG is just, it's bad. It's a bad situation. It's gonna, I think, only get worse at this point. they've screwed around so much trying to make money off of all of this that in the end it's going to cost them more, because now they have to buy servers straight away. Even if they're going to be opening it up to us in waves, they're going to have to buy servers straight away. According to what 41 was saying, server prices in Russia are really super expensive. Apparently it's like, I guess Russia and Australia to get servers is like super expensive, I guess, compared to the rest of the world. That's what 41 said. Guy's got pretty good integrity, so I don't think he's lying about that. I'm gonna just, I'm assuming that he's correct. So they're gonna spend more money on infrastructure that they weren't budgeted to spend on right now because they weren't intending on needing to. They're not going to be making any of the money that they projected on the sale of the game or of the upgrades. I mean, even if they meet projected upgrades sales units, it's going to be 50% of what they projected. So they're only going to get half of that at best. And I'm fairly certain, since the price point is ridiculous and cheaters have specifically said they're targeting anybody who buys the newest version, I don't think the sales for the Unheard Edition are going to be all that good. So they're going to lose money there. They're going to lose money on the servers. They're going to lose money just in the free revenue that came with, because right now it's hot to talk shit, but once nobody cares anymore and they become completely irrelevant, all of their free publicity that they've been getting will go away with it. It happens to every game. Every game pisses off their fan base, and you get really popular for a very short period of time while everyone is simultaneously flipping you the bird. But once everyone's done flipping you the bird and they move on to whatever's next, you become less than you were before. And that's kind of where BSG and that's where Tarkov is headed, is if they don't figure out some way of quelling the masses and getting people significantly, heavily back on their side. And every misstep, every wrong word, every bad decision, it is raising the cost financially of what it's going to take to get them back to a spot where we're happy again. So it's just going to get worse. And the more skeletons come out, the more stuff like this happens, the more expensive it's going to get. So I hope BSG's ready, because this is probably not the end of it. I don't even know at this point. I'm not going to look a whole lot more tonight. We'll see what happens when I wake up tomorrow. Maybe I'll be making another video. At this point, I don't know. It's crazy. So, all right, but appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you hanging out. I might be live by the time this goes live, so come check me out over at Twitch at RHGalloway. TikTok too, same thing, and of course on the Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it. Yeah, find me there. Likes, follow, subscribe, all that cool shit. I appreciate it, and peace. See ya.